Welcome back to my final video post in my series on event room blocks and the 5 should ask questions to help you manage your block more effectively. My name is Christine Shimasaki with DMAI's empowerMINT.com. In my previous 2 posts, I introduced a simple framework and started talking about why you need a room block in the first place and how the value and market conditions impact your room block. If you missed the first 2 videos, I have provided a link below. In this short video post, I will address the last 2 questions, beginning with your attendees' behavior in booking their guest room. So the question is, to what degree are your attendees booking rooms inside and outside your contracted room block? In this diagram, we illustrate the 3 levels of demand. And by the way, I'd like to introduce a new terminology, event room demand. And when I say event room demand, I really am accounting for all the guest rooms your event drives, not just the ones we can count and that end up in your room pickup. And by the way, that room pickup is in fact the very first level of demand. It's easy to track, once thought of to be the majority of the demand, but for a number of reasons we have been discussing, may not continue to be the majority of the demand in the future. But it does represent today the value of your event. The second level of demand are the rooms booked inside your contracted hotel, but outside your contracted room block. These are often what we call miscoded group rooms. And these rooms are accounted for if you conduct a very time-consuming audit. And the third level of demand is created by your attendees who book hotel rooms outside your contracted room block. An example of the current conversation about your event is illustrated here when we talk about 5,700 attendees, yet you're only using 2,200 rooms on peak. And this peak room figure of 2,200 rooms is applied to your booking guidelines by hotels, convention centers, and the convention and visitor bureaus. So even though there are 5,700 attendees, and we often hear they are not all doubling up, this event still is valued at 2,200 rooms on peak. And what we are missing is the total room demand, because for the most part, we have not had a methodology to really determine this demand until now. So thanks to a 2015 industry study conducted by Tourism Economics and supported by the 5 meeting industry organization foundations, they analyzed 174 events and 880,000 zip codes of attendees and exhibitors. And we now know that 1 out of every 3 rooms are booked outside the contracted room block, which is in fact significant. So if you think about it, the more rooms that get booked outside the block, the less credit you will be given for your event and the less negotiation leverage you will likely have, because the rooms per meeting space ratios will be impacted. So while we can appreciate that for the first time, the significance of the attendee behavior on average, meaning 1 out of every 3, what is most important is to bring all of this into context with our final question. And that's related to what significant results are you looking to accomplish? In other words, are you looking to increase your room block and therefore your negotiation leverage? This may require some significant changes to your room block practices. Or are you looking to ease the challenges experienced by your attendees in obtaining the right accommodations? Do you know if your processes align with their decision making? If so, it behooves us to gain a better understanding of 3 things. 1, How many attendees and exhibitors are booking outside the room block? What's your current benchmark? 2, the attendee experience. Why are they booking, where they're booking, and is this a problem? And 3, what changes in room block management strategies should you consider to get you to the results that you're looking for? So how many attendees and exhibitors are booking outside your contracted room block? While we now know what the industry average is, which is 1 out of every 3, it's important to understand this for your event. When we were analyzing the data for the study, for the event room demand study, we really saw some great variances in the event. So one event would have 20% outside the contracted room block. Another one would have 65% outside the contracted room block. And so it's important to really understand this analysis for your event. One planner recently shared with me that, who participated in the study, that she used this analysis to help educate her internal coworkers and executives so that they could all be on the same page when it came time to make changes to the housing and registration processes. So how do you obtain an analysis? Since the completion of the event room demand study in July, DMAI has been working on a tool for convention and visitor bureaus that really replicates the study's methodology, but it would enable the CVBs to be able to conduct these analyses for their customers. The tool is still in beta today, but we expect it to be up and running and available to the CVBs by mid-2016. So you'll be able to enlist the help of your CVB to obtain this benchmark. In the meantime, if you'd like to ask us about individual analysis, you can email us at the address we provided below. Secondly, we should all be invested in understanding the attendee and exhibitor's housing and registration experience, and understanding if there are any trends that are leading to why they are booking, where they are booking, and whether these patterns present your event, contracted room blocks, any problems today or in the foreseeable future. I think we should all be concerned about any friction that is created during the attendee's decision to attend. And finally, your event's performance data and the attendee experiences survey data will all lead you to consider changes to your room block practices. I have listed several recommendations that have been extracted and adapted from CIC's Project Attrition. And while this was completed several years ago, depending on the results you're looking for, some of them will still be applicable. For example, educating attendees and exhibitors about the importance of booking inside the block, I think, is one of those that is often overlooked. And recently I've seen planners really do an excellent job at creating videos and dialogue about booking inside the contracted room block. Linking registration and housing processes together, in other words, denying registration without housing, may be applicable for some groups. Where the housing, where your room block is really important. Provide registration discounts of $100 to $200 for each guest utilizing housing is one way to look at it as an incentive. And others are priority points for exhibitors, which I know a lot of planners are using today. But one that I think that is not having enough conversation around is partnering with the hotels to incentivize the attendees. For example, providing some tiers or early bird specials. And then finally, consider offering reservation tiered pricing, which is kind of similar to the partnering with the hotels. So, as I wrap up this third and final video post in my series, I hope you have found the information helpful as you manage this very important area of your responsibilities. If there are some comments or suggestions that you'd like us to consider, we would hope that you would provide us in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to reach out to us at the email address if you have any questions for myself or the team at empowerMINT.com.